Listen, the next 365 days will define your life, but only if you stop negotiating with yourself. The 2026 Discipline Challenge is not about short bursts of effort or random motivation. It is about constructing daily habits, invisible progress, and systems so strong that success becomes automatic. Starting today, you will act like the disciplined person, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, and even when no one is watching. Systems never fail, your excuses always do. Chapter 1. Stop negotiating with yourself. Listen carefully. Discipline doesn't collapse because you're weak. It collapses because you negotiate with yourself. You bargain. You delay. You offer yourself excuses disguised as logic. And every time you do it, you train your mind to obey the negotiation instead of the standard. That is the truth most people never admit. They're not failing because they lack talent. They're failing because they keep giving themselves deals. You know exactly what this negotiation sounds like. 5 more minutes. I'll start after this. I'll get serious on Monday. You've repeated these lines so many times that they no longer feel like negotiation. They feel normal. They feel harmless. But they are not harmless. Every self-negotiation weakens your identity. Every delay tells your brain that your desires can override your standards. And that is why progress dies long before the world sees it. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can continue being the person who bargains with your responsibilities, or you can become the person who executes without debate. That's the key. Execution without debate. The moment you stop negotiating with yourself is the moment discipline becomes possible. Understand this. Discipline is not a mood. Discipline is not a burst of inspiration. Discipline is a decision you reinforce through action. When you negotiate with yourself, you destroy that reinforcement. You build cracks in your foundation. You sabotage your own systems. Think about the times you promised yourself change. You said you'd wake up earlier. You said you'd work out consistently. You said you'd stop wasting time. But then you negotiated. You said, today is busy. You said, I deserve a break. You said, I'll make up for it later. And each time you did, the negotiation mode won, not the discipline mode. Let me repeat this so it sinks in. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your rules. Your goals will never rescue you from your habits. Your goals will never overpower your negotiations. Your goals are powerless without rules. So what is the solution? You install non-negotiable identity rules. Not goals. Not wishes. Not hopes. Rules. Identity rules are the commitments you obey regardless of your mood. They are the lines you do not cross. They are the behaviors that define who you are, not who you want to be someday. Identity rules turn discipline into an expectation, not an option. Here's the truth. Your identity is not built by what you promise. Your identity is built by what you tolerate. And when you tolerate negotiation, your identity becomes weak. When you tolerate excuses, your identity becomes inconsistent. When you tolerate delays, your identity becomes fragile. You have a choice. You can tolerate weakness or you can tolerate discomfort. But you cannot tolerate both. That's the key. Discomfort is the gateway to power. Negotiation is the gateway to decline. Now, what do these identity rules actually look like? They must be simple. They must be clear. They must be measurable. And most importantly, they must be obeyed. For example, I wake up at the same time every day. I complete my daily training no matter what. I spend 1 hour every day building my future. These are rules, not suggestions. These are rules, not hopes. These are rules, not negotiations. And here's why rules work. The human mind is designed to protect consistency. Once the rule becomes part of your identity, breaking it feels wrong. Breaking it feels out of character. Breaking it feels like betrayal. You begin to defend the rule instead of negotiate against it. That's when you've shifted from desire into identity. But most people never reach that point because they quit too early. They follow the rules when they feel good. They abandon the rules when life gets inconvenient. They allow the smallest challenge to reopen the negotiation table. This is why they never build momentum. This is why they never build trust with themselves. You have a choice. You can build trust or you can break trust. Every decision does one or the other. Every action reinforces a direction. You are either reinforcing discipline or reinforcing negotiation. There is no middle ground. Think about how many times negotiation stole progress from you. Think about the workouts you skipped, the opportunities you ignored, the mornings you wasted. Not because you were incapable, but because you negotiated your way out of the action. The negotiation voice will never disappear completely, but you can weaken it. You can overpower it. You can shrink it until it becomes background noise. Oh, by refusing to participate in the negotiation. The moment you stop responding, the negotiation loses leverage. Here's the method. When your mind says, 5 more minutes, you get up instantly. When your mind says, skip it today, you execute anyway. When your mind says, you deserve a break, you respond with action, not excuses. This repetition builds the muscle. This repetition forms the standard. This repetition rewires your identity. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You only need consistency. That's the key. Consistency is the force that destroys negotiation. And remember the phrase that must echo through this entire challenge. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your rules. If your rules are weak, your results will be weak. If your rules are strong, your results will be strong. This isn't magic. This is math. You're not failing because you lack potential. You're failing because you tolerate negotiation. But you have a choice, right now, to strip negotiation from your life and replace it with disciplined identity rules. This is the foundation of the entire 2026 Discipline Challenge. Without this chapter, nothing else works. If you continue to negotiate with yourself, every strategy in this audiobook will collapse under pressure. But if you eliminate self-negotiation, every strategy will multiply your power. Now that you've learned the truth about internal negotiation, it's time to build the system that makes discipline automatic. You stopped negotiating. Now it's time to build the structure. Chapter 2, Build the system, not the mood. Motivation is a spark. Systems are the engine. And if you're serious about completing the 2026 Discipline Challenge, you need to understand one truth immediately. Your mood cannot be trusted. Your feelings cannot be trusted. Your energy cannot be trusted. But your system? Your system will carry you when your emotions collapse. And they will collapse. Most people live their entire lives believing discipline is something you feel. They wait for the right moment. They wait for the perfect wave of motivation. They wait for inspiration to strike. But that mindset destroys more progress than failure ever will. You have a choice. You can build your life on unstable feelings, or you can build it on stable systems. That's the key. Feelings fluctuate. Systems don't. Think about how many times motivation failed you. You started something strong. You felt unstoppable. You felt electric. But then the mood changed. The energy faded. Life got inconvenient. And your discipline disappeared because it was never built on a structure. It was built on a feeling. A feeling that was never meant to last. Let me be direct. Motivation is short-term. Systems are long-term. Motivation pushes you for a day. Systems carry you for a decade. Motivation helps you start. Systems help you finish. That is why systems are undefeated. They don't care about your mood. They don't care about your comfort. They don't care about your excuses. A system either runs or it doesn't. And if the system runs, you win. If the system breaks, nothing else matters. Look at the highest performers in the world. They're not the most motivated. They're not the most inspired. They're not the most emotional. They are the most structured. They rely on routines with military precision. They don't wake up asking, "Do I feel like working today?" They wake up saying, "This is what I do. This is my system." Think about elite athletes. The best in the world don't negotiate with themselves. They don't rely on emotional highs. They don't skip practice because they don't feel like it. Their entire life runs on structure. Morning training, nutrition protocols, recovery routines, bedtime rules. It's not glamorous. It's not emotional. It's not based on mood. It's based on systems. Think about world-class musicians. They don't practice only when inspired. They don't rehearse when conditions are perfect. They drill scales, finger work, breath control, every single day, even when tired, even when bored, even when unmotivated. Their success comes from repetition, not emotion. Think about entrepreneurs who build billion-dollar companies. They don't rely on bursts of passion. They rely on relentless routines. Daily planning, execution blocks, review cycles, consistent learning. Whether they're tired, stressed, or discouraged, the system runs. Because if the system runs, you win. And if the system breaks, nothing else matters. You have to internalize this truth. Your life is the outcome of your systems. Not your dreams. Not your wishes. Your systems. People with superior systems outperform people with superior intentions every single time. Let's break this down in simple terms. When you rely on motivation, you live like a roller coaster. High one week, low the next. Productive for a few days, then inconsistent for months. You sprint, then collapse. You try, then quit. You start, then stop. This is the cycle that ruins progress. But when you rely on systems, everything becomes predictable. Everything becomes stable. Everything becomes measurable. And stability is the foundation of discipline. You don't need to feel ready when your system tells you what to do. You don't need to get motivated when your structure already dictates the next step. The system removes the emotional debate you used to lose. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your life feels chaotic, it's not because you're unlucky. It's because you don't have a system. If your habits fall apart, it's not because you're weak. It's because you don't have a system. If you struggle to stay consistent, it's not because you lack potential. It's because you don't have a system. And this is the shift you must make right now. Stop trying to feel disciplined. Start designing a life that forces discipline. That's the key. So how do you actually build a system? You create predictable routines for the behaviors that matter most. You assign time, place, and action. You remove decision-making. You remove debate. You remove negotiation. For example, a system for focus might be: wake up, hydrate, 10-minute reviewing, 90-minute deep work block. Every day. Same time. Same location. Same sequence. A system for fitness might be: wake up, change clothes, go outside, 1 mile minimum. No debate. No exceptions. No emotional negotiation. A system for personal growth might be: 1 hour of learning every evening, note-taking, application task. Even when tired. Even when stressed. Even when overwhelmed. The point is simple. Your actions become automatic. Your discipline becomes mechanical. You stop wasting energy deciding and start using all your energy doing. Your system becomes your foundation, your structure, your anchor. And once it's built, your life begins to accelerate. Remember this: motivation is for amateurs. Systems are for professionals. Motivation gets you excited. Systems get you results. Every person who transformed their life did so by following a structure long after the mood was gone. The mood disappears. The system stays. The mood fades. The system remains. And if the system runs, you win. If the system breaks, nothing else matters. Let me repeat it again so it becomes part of you. If the system runs, you win. If the system breaks, nothing else matters. This is the law of long-term success. This is the backbone of the 2026 Discipline Challenge. You cannot afford to build your future on emotion. You must build it on execution. So ask yourself right now, what system are you running? What behavior is predictable? What routine is locked in? If you don't have an answer, then your life is running on randomness. And randomness does not create discipline. Randomness creates chaos. But you have a choice. You can start designing the systems that will carry you through the next year. You can decide that your routines will no longer depend on your mood. You can choose structure over chaos, standards over emotions, and execution over excuses. Systems make discipline possible. Systems make consistency automatic. Systems make progress inevitable. Build the system. Trust the system. Run the system. And now that you understand the power of structure, it's time to build the next layer of your disciplined identity. You built the system. Now you need the rules inside it. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Non-Negotiables. If you want true discipline, you need anchors. You need daily behaviors that cannot be skipped, cannot be debated, cannot be postponed. These are your non-negotiables. the actions that define your identity and stabilize your entire system. Without non-negotiables, discipline collapses under pressure. With them, discipline becomes automatic. In this challenge, you will construct 3 pillars: 1 physical, 1 mental, 1 environmental. These 3 pillars form the backbone of your disciplined identity. And you must understand this clearly: the strength of your day is determined by the non-negotiables you protect. Not the big goals you set. Not the dreams you talk about. The behaviors you execute when no one is watching. Let's start with the first pillar. Pillar 1, the physical non-negotiable. Your physical non-negotiable is the action that brings you into the present moment. It grounds your body, sharpens your mind, and forces momentum into your day. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be extreme. It just needs to be consistent. For most people, the simplest and most powerful physical non-negotiable is a daily walk. Not a walk when you feel like it. Not a walk when you're motivated. A walk every single day. Rain or shine. Energy or exhaustion. Good mood or bad mood. Why? Because movement creates clarity. Movement creates momentum. Movement reprograms your brain for action. You have a choice. You can let your body dictate your behavior, or you can use your behavior to command your body. That's the key. Your physical non-negotiable is not about fitness. It's about control. Some people choose daily stretching. Some choose a morning workout. Some choose a cold shower. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the consistency. The rule is simple. The physical non-negotiable happens every single day with zero negotiation. That is how discipline is built. Now let's move to the second pillar. Pillar 2, the mental non-negotiable. Your mental non-negotiable is the action that shapes your mind, expands your thinking, and strengthens your focus. The most powerful example is daily learning. Every day you take in new knowledge that moves you forward. A book, an audiobook, a course, a lesson, something that sharpens your skills and stretches your mind. Not scrolling, not random content, not mindless entertainment, actual learning. Why? Because disciplined people think differently. They train their mind the same way athletes train their bodies. They understand that the world rewards clarity, not noise. They know that a sharp mind equals a sharp life. So your mental non-negotiable becomes a contract with your future. I will learn something meaningful every single day. You have a choice. You can feed your mind garbage or you can feed it growth. You can reinforce your distractions or you can reinforce your potential. And once again, the rule stays the same. No debate, no delay, no negotiation. Now we enter the third pillar. Pillar 3, the environmental non-negotiable. Your environment is not neutral. It is either helping you or hurting you. It is either supporting your discipline or sabotaging it. Most people underestimate this. They believe they can build discipline in a chaotic environment. They believe clutter won't affect them. They believe mess doesn't matter. But clutter destroys clarity. Clutter creates anxiety. Clutter steals mental energy. And this is why your third non-negotiable must be environmental. For example, a clean workspace every day. Not once a week. Not when you feel like it. Daily. A workspace that signals clarity, order, and focus. This rule matters more than you think. A clear space creates a clear mind. A clear mind produces clear decisions. And clear decisions create disciplined action. That is the chain. That is the system. That is the identity. You might choose a clean desk, a made bed, or a 5-minute evening reset. But whatever you choose, it must become a daily standard. A non-negotiable. A rule, not an option. Now let's tie the pillars together. Your 3 daily non-negotiables, 1 physical, 1 mental, 1 environmental, are not about intensity. They are about identity. They are not about being impressive. They are about becoming consistent. You do them because they reinforce who you are becoming. Remember this phrase and repeat it to yourself. Small disciplines compound into identity. Identity controls results. You think you need massive effort to change your life. You don't. You need daily alignment. You need behaviors that repeat. You need actions that accumulate. Big changes come from small disciplines repeated without negotiation. That's the formula. That's how identity shifts. Think about the people you admire. The ones who seem disciplined, consistent, unstoppable. They're not superhuman. They simply live by non-negotiables. They do certain things every day, no matter what. Their identity is built through repetition, and their results follow. That is why this chapter matters so much. Daily non-negotiables give your system structure. They give your day clarity. They give you a sense of direction even when your mood is unstable, your energy is low, or your mind is scattered. And here's the crucial part. Your non-negotiables are the first layer of discipline you can't talk your way out of. They're simple enough that you can always execute them. They're powerful enough that they create compound returns. They're consistent enough that your identity begins to shift. Let me repeat it again so you internalize it deeply. Small disciplines compound into identity. Identity controls results. Identity is not built by grand moments. Identity is built by daily behaviors. Identity is built by what you do repeatedly, not what you do occasionally. You have a choice. You can continue living in a cycle of emotional decision-making, or you can create the structure that shapes your future. You can hope discipline shows up, or you can install the routines that guarantee it. You can wait for momentum, or you can build it manually every day through your non-negotiables. This is the turning point. When you follow your non-negotiables for 30 days, your mind begins to shift. Your standards rise. Your expectations strengthen. And once your identity starts changing, your entire life starts changing. Your non-negotiables are your anchor. They are your stabilizer. They are the foundation of your disciplined identity. And now that you have your daily anchors, it's time to remove the hidden forces that weaken them. Your anchors are set. Now let's clear the obstacles. Chapter 4. Remove the hidden sources of mental drain. There is a reason discipline feels harder than it should. And it has nothing to do with your ability, your genetics, or your motivation. It has everything to do with the silent forces draining your willpower before you even start your day. These forces are invisible, subtle, and constant. And until you remove them, discipline will always feel like an uphill battle. Let's make this clear. Your environment is stealing your energy. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, slowly, consistently. Clutter drains you. Digital noise drains you. Unmade decisions drain you. These are the hidden leaks in your mental system. And if you don't patch them, your discipline will collapse no matter how hard you try. Let's start with clutter. Clutter is not innocent. You may think a messy room or a crowded workspace doesn't matter, but it does. Every unfinished task your eyes land on triggers a reminder in your brain. Every stack of papers, every pile of clothes, every item out of place creates micro-stress. You don't notice it consciously, but your mind is paying attention. Every piece of clutter asks the same question: when will you deal with me? And whether you answer it or not, your brain spends energy on the question. If your environment is chaotic, your mind becomes chaotic. That's why you feel overwhelmed before you even start your tasks. Your willpower is already leaking. Now let's talk about digital noise. Your devices are designed to distract you. Your phone doesn't just steal your time. It steals your attention. It steals your focus. It steals your mental clarity. Every notification is a ping to your brain demanding, "Look at me." Every alert creates mental tension. Every scroll resets your concentration. You don't realize this, but the constant presence of your phone makes you weaker. Mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally. You are fighting battles you don't need to fight. You are using discipline to resist distractions that shouldn't be there in the first place. And then there's the worst one of all, unmade decisions. Unmade decisions are mental parasites. Every decision you avoid creates a cloud of stress. Your brain does not like open loops. Whether it's a conversation you need to have, a task you've postponed, or a commitment you're avoiding, the weight sits on your mind 24/7. You know the feeling. You say you'll do it later. But later becomes a mental burden, and the burden becomes exhaustion. When your mind is full of unfinished business, there is no space for discipline. No space for clarity. No space for execution. You can't build a strong system on top of mental clutter. And that brings us to the principle that will save your discipline. Eliminate to concentrate. For the first 30 days of this challenge, your mission is simple. Eliminate what drains you so you can concentrate on what builds you. You are not adding more tasks to your life. You are removing the obstacles that destroy your focus. This is not minimalism for aesthetics. This is strategic removal for performance. You eliminate the noise so your brain can allocate its energy to discipline, not distraction. Here's how the principle works. Step 1. Clear physical clutter. Pick one space at a time. Your desk, your room, your bag, your car. Remove anything that creates mental friction. Clean surfaces. Organize essentials. Donate what you don't use. Throw away what you don't need. You have a choice. You can keep tripping over the same obstacles, or you can eliminate them once and for all. Step 2. Reduce digital noise. Turn off non-essential notifications. Remove apps that hijack your attention. Create a digital environment that supports focus. Your phone shouldn't be the loudest voice in your life. It shouldn't be the first thing you touch in the morning or the last thing you see at night. You must take control of your digital space before it takes control of you. Step 3. Resolve unmade decisions. Make the call. Send the email. Finish the task. Create closure. Each decision you complete gives you back a portion of your mental bandwidth. Each closed loop frees space in your mind. And that space becomes clarity. That clarity becomes focus. That focus becomes discipline. This is why the first 30 days of the challenge are not about doing more. They're about doing less but doing it with intention. You are removing the friction that slows you down. You are eliminating the noise that weakens your discipline. You are simplifying your environment so your energy flows in one direction, forward. Remember this: discipline is easier when your environment stops arguing with you. If your space is messy, your environment argues. If your phone is loud, your environment argues. If your decisions are undone, your environment argues. And every argument costs you willpower. Every argument makes discipline harder. Every argument makes progress slower. But when your environment becomes quiet, your mind becomes powerful. When clutter disappears, your focus strengthens. When digital noise fades, your concentration deepens. When decisions are made, your energy returns. This is not a small shift. This is a breakthrough. People waste so much discipline fighting battles their environment created. They don't realize that by simplifying their surroundings, they multiply their power. And here's the part you must internalize deeply. When your environment is aligned with your goals, your identity shifts naturally. You don't have to force discipline. You don't have to push yourself constantly. Your world becomes designed for success. You have a choice. You can keep living in a space that drains you, or you can create a space that fuels you. You can keep resisting distractions, or you can remove the distractions. You can keep battling chaos, or you can eliminate the chaos. The 2026 Discipline Challenge is not just about what you do. It's about what you remove. It's about creating conditions that support your strongest self, not sabotage it. And once your environment stops arguing with you, you're ready for the next phase, tightening the daily loop that keeps discipline alive. Your environment is now aligned. Now it's time to structure your action cycle. Chapter 5. The 24-hour focus loop. If you want to master discipline, you need to master your day. Not your month. Not your year. Not your future. Your day. Because discipline doesn't break over a year. It breaks over a 24-hour window. It breaks one skipped task at a time, one delayed action at a time, one broken promise at a time. But the opposite is also true. Discipline is built one day at a time, one cycle at a time, one loop at a time. And that loop is simple. Plan, act, review, adjust. This is the 24-hour focus loop. This is the system that keeps discipline alive. This is the structure that transforms your entire year. Most people never create progress because their days are chaotic. They wake up reactive, drift through their tasks, and end the day with no clarity, no measurement, and no direction. They hope tomorrow will fix today's mistakes. But hope is not a strategy. Structure is. Let's break the loop down step by step. Step 1. Plan. Your day begins before your day starts. High performers don't leave their mornings to chance. They don't wake up wondering, what should I do today? They wake up with a blueprint. They wake up with clarity. They wake up with intention. Planning doesn't need to take an hour. It can take 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes create control. Those 5 minutes decide your direction. Those 5 minutes eliminate confusion, which eliminates hesitation, which eliminates wasted energy. Your plan should answer 3 questions. 1. What must get done? 2. When will I do it? 3. What system will I follow? Not vague intentions. Not work on something. Exact tasks. Exact windows. Exact structure. You have a choice. You can drift or you can direct. Planning is directing. Step 2. Act. Action is where discipline is tested. Planning provides clarity, but action requires commitment. Action is where you stop thinking and start executing. This is where you learn the truth about yourself. High performers don't act when conditions are perfect. They act because the plan demands action. They stick to the structure even when they're tired, even when they're stressed, even when they're unmotivated. That's the difference. They rely on system, not emotion. And here's the key. Action is not about intensity. It's about consistency. Small, repeated actions build discipline far faster than chaotic bursts of effort. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. You only need to follow the loop. When you act, you enter the zone of execution. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop negotiating with the task. You follow the system you created. You move from thinking to doing. That is the heart of discipline. Step 3. Review. This is the part everyone skips. They act, but they never assess. They execute, but they never observe. They push, but they never reflect. And because they never review, they never improve. Reviewing your day doesn't require a journal full of poetic reflections. It requires brutal honesty. It requires asking one question. Did I follow the plan? Yes or no. Not, did I try? Not, did I feel good about it? Not, was I motivated? Just, did I follow the system? If yes, you reinforce confidence. If no, you identify the block. Reviewing ensures you don't repeat the same mistake tomorrow. It turns each day into data. It turns each action into feedback. And feedback is how you evolve. High performers don't fear review. They use it like a weapon. They look at what worked, what didn't, and why. They don't judge themselves, they study themselves. They understand that progress is built through awareness, not shame. Reviewing keeps you aligned. It keeps you accountable. It keeps you in control. Step 4. Adjust. Adjustment is the final part of the loop. This is where you refine. This is where you tweak. This is where you strengthen your system. Most people think failure is final. But failure is just information. If you missed a task, adjust. If your schedule was unrealistic, adjust. If your energy dipped, adjust. If distractions pulled you away, adjust. That's what winners do. They don't quit. They don't spiral. They don't collapse. They adjust and continue the loop. Adjustment is the reason this system works for an entire year. It evolves with you. It adapts to your life. It grows as you grow. You don't need massive reinvention. You only need daily improvement. And that brings us to the truth that defines this chapter. You don't need a perfect year. You only need a perfect day. Repeated. Let me say that again. You don't need a perfect year. You only need a perfect day. Repeated. Most people fail because they think too far ahead. They think about the year, the decade, the future. They overwhelm themselves with scale. But you don't live in the future. You live in a 24-hour window. You live inside this loop. When you run the loop perfectly for one day, you win the day. When you win the day, you build identity. When identity forms, consistency becomes easy. And when consistency becomes easy, results become inevitable. All discipline is the repetition of a solid 24 hours. That's it. The system is the same whether you're an athlete, a student, an entrepreneur, or anyone trying to improve their life. The loop does not change. High performers across every field use versions of this 24-hour cycle because it works. Athletes plan training, act on training, review performance, adjust the strategy. Writers plan their writing blocks, execute the writing, review progress, adjust the outline. Executives plan meetings, execute the work, review outcomes, adjust next steps. Success is not magic. Success is not mystery. Success is a loop, repeated. The reason the 24-hour focus loop is powerful is because it removes the emotional chaos that usually destroys discipline. You don't need to guess your way through the day. You don't need to rely on motivation. You follow the structure. You follow the loop. And as long as the loop continues, progress continues. Remember this: if your day is weak, your year will be weak. If your day is strong, your year becomes unstoppable. You have a choice. You can drift through your days or you can design them. You can hope for discipline or you can engineer it through structure. Everything you want is built inside the next 24 hours. Not next month. Not next year. Today. That's where your power is. And now that you know how to structure your day, it's time to confront the part of discipline most people avoid: the boredom. Your loop is set. Now you must learn to embrace repetition. Chapter 6. Embrace the boring work. Everyone wants greatness. Everyone wants results. Everyone wants transformation. But very few people are willing to do the one thing greatness requires. Embrace the boring work, the repetitive, unglamorous, uncelebrated tasks that build the foundation of mastery. Let me tell you something that most people refuse to accept. Greatness is not built on excitement. Greatness is not built on inspiration. Greatness is built on repetition. Not dramatic moments. Not perfect timing. Repetition. That's the truth. And it's why so many people fail. They think discipline is supposed to feel exciting. They think progress should feel inspiring. They think growth should feel powerful every single day. But the real work is quiet. The real work is simple. The real work is boring. And here's the key: boring does not mean unimportant. Boring means foundational. You must understand this to complete the 2026 Discipline Challenge. Because sooner or later the excitement fades. The novelty wears off. The motivation drops. And what you're left with is the reality of repetition. Showing up again and again even when the work isn't thrilling. Let's break this down with real examples. Athletes know the truth about repetition. Watch any elite athlete train. Watch the best in the world. You'll notice something interesting. Their practices look boring. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Boring. Basketball players shoot the same shots for hours. Swimmers practice the same stroke thousands of times. Boxers repeat the same footwork drills endlessly. People look at the game-winning shot, the record-breaking swim, the knockout punch. But they never see the boring work behind it. They don't see the repetitions that happen in silence when no one's watching. Greatness grows from repetition no one celebrates. Athletes understand something most people never learn. Mastery is built on doing the basics flawlessly. And the basics are repetitive. The basics are tedious. The basics are boring. But the basics are everything. Boring does not mean unimportant. Boring means foundational. Writers know the truth about repetition. Talk to any professional writer and they'll tell you the same thing. Writing is not glamorous. Writing is not magical. Writing is not a lightning bolt of creativity. Writing is repetition. Daily pages. Daily drafts. Daily rewrites. The writer sits in a chair and produces words, even when the inspiration isn't there, even when the ideas feel weak, even when the pages feel terrible. And over time, something powerful happens. The discipline creates the breakthrough. A best-selling author isn't someone who waited for the perfect idea. A best-selling author is someone who showed up daily regardless of how they felt. Someone who embraced the boring pages, the rough drafts, the messy notes. That's why writers succeed. They don't rely on mood. They rely on repetition. Because they understand that boring work is the bridge to excellence. Coders know the truth about repetition. Look at the world's best programmers. They don't become great by building massive systems on day one. They become great by drilling fundamentals, loops, logic, structure, syntax. They practice small problems over and over. They debug the same patterns. They break code, fix code, break code again. It's repetitive. It's technical. It's often frustrating. But it's foundational. The boring fundamentals are what allow them to build world-changing software later. Without the repetition, the skill never grows. You have a choice. You can chase novelty or you can chase mastery. But you cannot chase both. The people who chase novelty stay inconsistent. The people who chase mastery stay disciplined. And discipline rewards mastery every single time. Why boring work feels hard? Let's be honest, boring work feels hard because your brain craves stimulation. It craves excitement. It craves novelty. And when you repeat a task, the brain says, "This again." But that discomfort is the doorway. That discomfort is the signal that you're building something deeper than motivation. Boring work builds skill. Boring work builds identity. Boring work builds discipline. The repetition trains your brain to follow systems instead of impulses. It strengthens your ability to do the necessary instead of the stimulating. And that is the essence of discipline, doing what matters even when it's not exciting. Let me remind you again, boring does not mean unimportant. Boring means foundational. Why most people fail. Most people will never achieve discipline because they quit the moment the work stops being exciting. They want fast results. They want instant reward. They want progress that feels good. The moment boredom appears, they jump to something new. New projects. New goals. New habits. New ideas. They chase stimulation instead of mastery. But here's the truth. If you switch tasks every time boredom appears, you will never get good at anything. You will never build a strong identity. You will never build real discipline. You will only build a pattern of quitting. You have a choice. You can be the person who quits when the work stops being fun, or you can be the person who continues because the work is foundational. That's the difference between average and exceptional. How to embrace the boring work. Here's how you turn boring work into a weapon. 1. Expect boredom. Don't fear it. Expect it. Something feels repetitive, that means you're building skill. That means you're strengthening the system. That means you're improving. 2. Link the repetition to your identity. Tell yourself, I am the person who does the work others avoid. I am the person who shows up even when it's boring. I am the person who masters the fundamentals. Identity creates consistency. 3. Trust the compound effect. Every repetition stacks. Every practice session builds. Every boring day contributes to your foundation. You may not feel the progress, but it's happening beneath the surface. The power of the boring days. Let me leave you with this. Breakthroughs don't happen on exciting days. Breakthroughs happen on boring days. The days you wanted to skip. The days you felt nothing. The days you showed up anyway. That is when discipline is created. That is when identity shifts. That is when the foundations form. And remember the phrase that defines this chapter. Boring does not mean unimportant. Boring means foundational. Repeat it. Live by it. Build with it. Because when you embrace the boring work, you unlock a level of discipline most people will never touch. And now that you understand the power of repetition, it's time to master the force that amplifies discipline. Delayed reward. You've embraced repetition. Now embrace restraint. Chapter 7. Delayed gratification. Your secret weapon. Discipline is not just about showing up. Discipline is not just about routines. Discipline is about choosing what matters over what feels good right now. And that, my friend, is the power of delayed gratification. The ability to resist short-term pleasure in favor of long-term reward is your secret weapon. The edge that separates the average from the exceptional. Let's be clear, the world is designed for instant gratification. Notifications ping. Snacks tempt. Shows distract. Social media entertains. Pleasure is everywhere, easy to access, and incredibly seductive. Every day, your brain is presented with thousands of micro-decisions. Indulge now or resist for future gain. And most people consistently choose the first option. Here's the truth. Every time you resist, you win. Every time you wait, every time you delay, every time you say, not now, you strengthen your brain, strengthen your identity, and strengthen your results. That's the key. You don't have to do anything dramatic. Just wait. Just choose the long term over the short term. That is where discipline grows. Why delayed gratification works. Resisting immediate pleasure changes the brain. Neuroscience shows that our reward system, our dopamine pathways, are not static. They adapt. When you constantly seek instant reward, your brain becomes trained to expect it. Motivation fluctuates. Impulse wins. You become reactive instead of proactive. But when you choose restraint, something powerful happens. Your brain begins to anticipate delayed reward. Dopamine doesn't disappear, it is redistributed. It strengthens neural pathways that allow you to endure discomfort, focus on long-term goals, and postpone the temptation of quick pleasure. The more you practice restraint, the stronger these pathways become. The more they strengthen, the more control you have over your decisions. The more control you have, the more discipline you build. Look at classic experiments on delayed gratification. The famous marshmallow test showed that children who resisted immediate temptation consistently achieved more later in life. They didn't have superpowers. They didn't have better luck. They had learned a basic principle. The capacity to wait is the foundation for success. And that same principle applies to your life today. Every small delay counts. You might think, I can't resist everything all the time. That's fine. You don't need perfection. You only need practice. Every time you say no to a small temptation, you win. Every time you resist a minor distraction, you win. Every time you delay instant pleasure for a better outcome tomorrow, you win. Want to check social media later instead of now? Win. Want to finish a project before indulging in entertainment? Win. Want to save money instead of spending impulsively? Win. The victories are small, but the cumulative effect is massive. Your identity begins to shift. You start thinking like a person who controls impulses instead of being controlled by them. That identity, once internalized, becomes a source of automatic discipline. Delayed gratification in high performers. Look at top athletes. They skip desserts, limit alcohol, follow strict routines, and endure grueling workouts. Not because they love the pain, but because they love the long-term reward. They resist immediate comfort for championship success. That is delayed gratification in action. Look at entrepreneurs building companies. They forego vacations, social outings, and immediate profits to invest time, money, and effort into something that will pay off years later. That patience, that restraint, is what multiplies their results. Even writers, coders, and creatives practice delayed gratification. They resist distractions, they refuse shortcuts, they endure long hours of preparation and practice, all for the payoff of mastery. The principle is universal. The ability to wait is the lever of transformation. How to practice delayed gratification. 1. Identify your triggers. What pulls you toward instant reward? Social media? Snacks? Netflix? Idle scrolling? Identify them first. Awareness is the first step to control. 2. Set small delays. You don't need to wait for years to build this skill. Start small. Wait 10 minutes. Wait an hour. Wait until the task is complete. Gradually increase the duration. Each delay reinforces your control and strengthens your brain. 3. Focus on the reward, not the pain. Every time you resist, visualize the outcome. Imagine finishing your project, seeing your progress, feeling the satisfaction of accomplishment. Pleasure delayed is not pleasure denied. It is pleasure multiplied. 4. Track your wins. Every small act of restraint counts. Track them. Celebrate them privately. Recognize that your ability to wait is directly creating your future self. Why most people fail. Most people fail at delayed gratification because they chase dopamine. They chase the quick hit. They chase comfort. And it is everywhere. The world will conspire against your restraint. Ads, alerts, notifications, and even friends encourage instant reward. But every time you resist, you assert power. Every time you resist, you reclaim control. Every time you resist, you win. Remember this phrase: every time you wait, you win. Say it. Live it. Repeat it. It's the mantra of disciplined individuals. You don't have to resist everything perfectly. You don't have to wait forever. But every single act of restraint compounds. Every single act rewires your brain. Every single act strengthens your identity as someone who does not bend to impulse. That is the foundation of permanent discipline. The identity shift. Here's the most important truth. Delayed gratification is not just a strategy, it is identity work. When you consistently choose long-term reward, you tell your brain, and more importantly yourself, I am the type of person who wins tomorrow, not just today. I am the type of person who controls my impulses, not my impulses controlling me. I am the type of person who follows systems, not moods. This identity becomes automatic. You stop negotiating with your desires. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop letting instant pleasure dictate your actions. You begin to live a disciplined life because your brain, habits, and systems are aligned. That is the power of delayed gratification. The capacity to wait is your secret weapon. Discipline is easier when you embrace delayed gratification. The small victories of restraint multiply. The neural pathways strengthen. Your identity grows. And your results explode. Let me repeat it one final time so it sinks in. Every time you wait, you win. Every single time. Start today. Delay a single small pleasure. Observe the effect on your focus. Repeat tomorrow. Build the habit. Watch the compound effect transform your life. This is how you take control of impulses. This is how you take control of outcomes. This is how you turn patience into power. And now that you understand the value of waiting, it's time to solidify your identity. Discipline is not just action or patience. It is a state of being. You've mastered restraint. Now become the person who embodies discipline. Chapter 8. The Identity Shift. Become the disciplined one. Discipline is not about willpower alone. Discipline is not about motivation alone. Discipline is who you are. And the most powerful truth you need to internalize is this: identity follows action, not the other way around. Who you repeatedly are determines what you achieve, not what you claim to be, not what you say you want. Your identity is forged in repetition, in choice, in the consistent actions you take, especially when no one is watching. Let's be brutally honest. Most people live in a gap between who they say they are and what they actually do. They claim, "I'm disciplined," or "I'm focused," but their daily behavior says otherwise. The result? Inconsistency, frustration, failed goals, broken promises, and worst of all, weak identity. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your rules. And your rules are only as strong as the actions you repeatedly take. That's why this chapter is critical. You need to understand the mechanics of identity, act like the disciplined person, and the identity will follow. Repeat it, act like the disciplined person, and the identity will follow. Say it, write it, live it. Let it be the mantra that drives your transformation. Identity follows action. Your actions are not just behaviors, they are signals to your brain. Every time you show up, every time you execute, every time you follow your systems, your brain records a pattern. This pattern becomes neural reinforcement. Over time, these patterns define you. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined because your brain, your habits, and your daily choices reinforce that identity. That is the shift. That is the power. You cannot wish your way into discipline. You cannot talk your way into identity. You cannot fake your way into mastery. You must act. And as you act consistently, your self-concept shifts. Your sense of who you are becomes aligned with your actions. That alignment creates a feedback loop. Identity strengthens action, and action strengthens identity. This is the system of permanent discipline. Identity statements. One of the most effective tools for this shift is identity statements. These are short, declarative phrases that define the person you are becoming. They are not goals. They are not ambitions. They are present tense declarations. And they must be repeated, not just spoken but demonstrated through action. Here are examples. I am the person who shows up no matter what. I finish what I start. I act before I feel motivated. I prioritize progress over comfort. I honor my commitments to myself. Each statement is a seed. Each action is water. Each repetition grows the identity until it becomes automatic. You no longer have to negotiate. You no longer have to debate. You no longer have to hope. You simply act as the person you've declared yourself to be. Notice the common theme. These statements reflect repeated action, not intention. You don't say, "I will show up someday." You say, "I am the person who shows up." Identity is present tense. Identity is immediate. Identity is actionable. How to embed identity in daily life. Step 1. Choose your core identity statements. Pick 3 that resonate with your goals. Keep them simple. Keep them declarative. Keep them true to the actions you are willing to take consistently. Step 2. Anchor these statements to your daily routines. Every time you complete your non-negotiables, review your identity statement. Every time you execute your system, Recite your identity statement silently or aloud. Pair action with declaration. Action plus declaration equals reinforcement. Step 3. Repeat. 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 Identity is not built in a day. Identity is forged in consistent, repeated actions. Each repetition is a deposit in the bank of your self-concept. And over time, your actions become effortless because your identity supports them. You are no longer forcing discipline, you are living it. Real-world examples. High performers across fields leverage this principle. Athletes. The best athletes don't just train their bodies. They train their identity. I am the competitor who never quits. I am the person who executes my plan regardless of pain or fatigue. These statements guide their daily practice. They become self-fulfilling prophecies. Writers, professional writers don't wait for inspiration. They declare, I am the person who writes daily. And every day they honor that identity. The act of writing reinforces the identity, and the identity reinforces the act. Entrepreneurs. Successful founders don't just hope to be consistent. They act like disciplined operators. I am the person who finishes what I start. Every completed task, every executed plan, every delayed pleasure reinforces the identity of a disciplined entrepreneur. This is how identity compounds. This is how repetition becomes transformation. This is how you escape the trap of fleeting motivation and shallow effort. The power of action over feeling. Understand this, feelings are fleeting. Motivation is unreliable. Energy is variable. But action is consistent. By acting like the disciplined person, you remove dependency on mood, motivation, or luck. You create a self-sustaining feedback loop where your identity and actions align. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop arguing with the system. You become unstoppable because you are the person who cannot fail by design. Let me repeat that crucial point. Act like the disciplined person. The identity will follow. This is not optional. This is not a suggestion. This is how permanent transformation occurs. The daily practice. To cement this identity, apply this daily. Morning declaration. Before you start, say your identity statements aloud. I am the person who shows up. I finish what I start. I honor my commitments. Let them set the tone. Action reinforcement. Every time you complete a non-negotiable, internalize the statement. This bridges identity with action. Evening reflection. Review the day. Ask yourself, did my actions reflect my identity? Celebrate alignment. Adjust if necessary. Repetition strengthens the neural patterns that make this identity automatic. Over time, these simple daily practices make discipline effortless. You no longer rely on willpower. You no longer debate yourself. Your identity carries the work. You act automatically because it is who you are. Discipline is a reflection of identity. You don't become disciplined because you try harder. You become disciplined because you act like the disciplined person until it becomes who you are. Your repeated actions write the story of your life. Your daily choices reinforce your identity. Your identity defines your results. So start now. Choose your statements. Repeat your actions. Embed your identity in your routines. Act like the disciplined person. The identity will follow. And once this identity is internalized, every system, every habit, every delayed reward, every boring repetition becomes natural. You no longer fight discipline, it flows from your identity. That is the true power of the 2026 Discipline Challenge. Now that your identity is aligned, it's time to strengthen your resilience for the inevitable obstacles ahead. You cannot be disciplined without toughness. You cannot persevere without mental fortitude. You've become the disciplined person. Now build resilience that cannot break. Chapter 9, Silent Progress. Grow without announcing. Most people think success comes from talking about it. They think they must announce their goals, post their progress, or share their plans for validation. They think external recognition motivates them. But here's the brutal truth. Real progress is made in silence. The loudest achievers are often the quietest workers. The ones who announce less, grind more, and let results speak for themselves. If you want unbreakable discipline, you must learn the power of silent progress. There's a psychological reason for this. When you work quietly, you are not seeking approval or attention. You are not distracted by others' opinions. You are fully focused on the task, fully invested in the system, and fully accountable to yourself. This is where real momentum is built. Quiet work strengthens mental focus. It reinforces identity. And it accelerates results in ways that public validation never can. Remember this: silence builds pressure. Pressure builds breakthroughs. Repeat it. Live by it. Internalize it. This is the mindset that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. The power of working quietly. When you share every goal, every ambition, every small victory, something subtle happens. Your brain feels rewarded just for talking about it. You get the dopamine hit of recognition before the actual work is completed. The problem is simple. You've satisfied your brain prematurely. Motivation drops. Effort diminishes. The commitment that should have been earned through consistent action is diluted. Silent work eliminates this trap. You rely on internal discipline instead of external praise. You hold yourself accountable to your systems, your non-negotiables, your identity. You do not need anyone else to witness your progress. Your results become proof enough. The pressure remains internal. The focus remains pure. And when the breakthrough finally comes, it is undeniable because it is built on real work, not performance or showmanship. High performers across fields understand this instinctively. Athletes train in empty gyms. Writers draft in solitude. Entrepreneurs solve problems late at night while the world sleeps. They understand that quiet repetition builds invisible momentum. The world only sees the outcome, but the true growth happens in the silent, unseen hours. Why sharing goals early kills momentum. Many people sabotage themselves by sharing their goals too early. They announce, "I'm going to run a marathon," or "I'm writing a book," or "I'm going to start a business," before a single meaningful step is taken. The brain, seeking reward, interprets the act of announcement as partial completion. You get validation, excitement, and even encouragement, but none of it translates to results. In fact, it can harm your progress. When you broadcast goals prematurely, you reduce the internal pressure that drives effort. You invite external opinions that create doubt or distraction. You shift focus from consistent action to appearance or perception. Instead, the disciplined person works quietly. They let their actions create credibility. They understand that momentum is internal, not social. They build systems, follow routines, and execute their non-negotiables without broadcasting their effort. The reward is delayed, yes, but it is real and lasting. Silent pressure creates breakthroughs. Here's a key insight: silence creates pressure. Not negative stress, but a constructive, internalized pressure. When no one is watching, every action, every repetition, every delayed gratification matters more. Each choice becomes weighty. Each completion becomes meaningful. This internalized accountability sharpens focus. It forges resilience. And over time, it creates breakthroughs that are undeniable because they were earned, not showcased. Consider the compound effect of silent work. Each quiet day of exercise strengthens the body and mind. Each unseen day of writing strengthens skill and identity. Each unannounced business decision strengthens competence and judgment. Nothing is wasted. Everything counts. And when the results finally emerge, they emerge with authority, without question, without argument. You did the work. You earned the outcome. You became the disciplined person. That is the power of silent progress. Practical steps to embrace silent progress. Work without sharing. Choose one goal and commit to pursuing it privately for at least 30 days. Do not post updates, do not share progress, do not seek validation. Let the work itself be the reward. Measure privately. Track your actions and improvements in a private journal or system. Focus on completion, consistency, and quality. The metrics are for your accountability, not for public approval. Celebrate after results. When milestones are achieved, allow your results to speak. Only then do you announce, if at all. By this time, your progress is undeniable, built on real effort and not external validation. Maintain daily discipline. The power of silent progress is amplified when combined with non-negotiables, identity statements, delayed gratification, and the 24-hour focus loop. All of these systems reinforce the habit of working quietly and consistently. The mental advantage of silence. Silent progress also protects your mental state. When you work quietly, you avoid comparison with others. You avoid distraction from praise or criticism. You avoid the dopamine trap of early recognition. Instead, your mind learns to focus on what matters, not what is noticed. You cultivate patience, resilience, and an internal locus of control. You begin to see that external validation is irrelevant. What matters is alignment between your identity and your actions. What matters is consistency. What matters is mastery. Examples from real life. Athletes. Olympians rarely announce every training session. They execute quietly day after day. Their medals are proof, not their social media updates. Writers and creatives. The most productive authors draft hundreds of pages in solitude, unseen by anyone, before publishing a single line. The work is invisible, but the results are monumental. Entrepreneurs. Many founders quietly test, iterate, and grow their business for years before anyone outside their circle knows. Their success is earned in silence. All of these examples demonstrate the principle. Results are louder than words. Silent action compounds. Loud talk dissipates energy. Discipline is reinforced by action, not announcement. Success grows quietly. Motivation follows performance, not the other way around. If you want unbreakable discipline, stop telling everyone what you are going to do. Start doing it quietly. Internalize this mantra. Silence builds pressure. Pressure builds breakthroughs. Work in silence. Let your non-negotiables, your systems, and your identity statements guide you. Trust the process. Trust the unseen compounding of effort. And when the results arrive, they will arrive with power, clarity, and authority. Now that you understand the strength of quiet growth, it's time for the final step, the culmination of all your systems, habits, and identity. Living a disciplined life that does not waver no matter the challenge. Chapter 10. The Year of Unbroken Discipline. You made it this far. You've learned the power of stopping self-negotiation. You've built systems, embraced boring work, delayed gratification, strengthened identity, and worked quietly. Now it's time to tie everything together. This is the final chapter, the execution of a full year of unbroken discipline. This is where knowledge becomes transformation, where concepts become results, where a system becomes a life. Let's be clear, discipline is not a one-time act. It is a daily decision repeated without compromise. You cannot skip a day, you cannot negotiate, you cannot wait for motivation. You must follow the system every single day for a full year. That is the real challenge. That is the true test of your identity and your systems. And remember the mantra, 1 year of discipline will do more for your life than 10 years of excuses. Say it. Repeat it. Internalize it. Let it define your actions. The first 30 days, build the foundation. The first 30 days are about preparation and alignment. You will remove the hidden sources of mental drain. You will define your non-negotiables. 1 physical, 1 mental, 1 environmental. You will establish the 24-hour focus loop. You will set identity statements. You will begin practicing delayed gratification. This is the phase of quiet setup. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. Nothing instant. Every repetition matters. Every completed task strengthens your identity. Every day you show up is a deposit in the bank of unbroken discipline. Rules for this phase. Follow your systems exactly. No deviations. Track every action privately. Metrics are your accountability, not your validation. Accept boredom as the signal of progress. The foundation is being built. By the end of these 30 days, your environment is aligned, your actions are habitual, and your mind begins to expect consistency instead of chaos. You are no longer negotiating with yourself. You are acting as the disciplined person. Next 60 days, strengthen the loop. The next 60 days are about amplification. You now apply all the principles daily: silent progress, repeated non-negotiables, consistent review, and adjustment. Your systems run on autopilot. Your identity statements are reinforced through action. You embrace the boredom because you understand it is the bridge to excellence. You resist short-term pleasures because your long-term outcomes matter more. Focus here is on consistency over intensity. You do not try to double your effort. You do not attempt dramatic changes. You do not chase motivation. You show up. You execute. You repeat. The power of this period is compounding. Every repeated action strengthens neural pathways. Every unbroken day reinforces identity. Every quiet, consistent effort magnifies results. Remember, 1 year of discipline will do more for your life than 10 years of excuses. Every day matters. Every loop counts. Momentum builds silently, invisibly, irreversibly. The final stretch, dominate your year. The last phase is about mastery and toughness. You face obstacles, fatigue, and resistance. Life will test your systems. Discomfort will rise. Motivation will fall. And this is where the disciplined person proves themselves. You don't skip days. You don't negotiate. You don't compromise. You execute because the identity is permanent and the systems are unbreakable. At this stage, every action is automatic. Every repetition reinforces your habits. Every choice aligns with your long-term vision. You will notice changes. Your energy is sharper. Your focus is stronger. Your results become visible. The final stretch is not about adding more. It is about never subtracting, never pausing, and never compromising. This is unbroken discipline in action. The year is won by showing up when no one is watching, when motivation is gone, when excuses are loudest. Consistency over intensity. Let me repeat this because it cannot be overstated. Discipline is about consistency over intensity. One perfect day of extreme effort cannot replace 365 unbroken days. But 365 unbroken days, even at moderate intensity, will completely transform your life. Skip nothing. Negotiate nothing. Excuse nothing. Your non-negotiables, your 24-hour loop, your systems, your identity statements, they are the rails that keep you on track. Follow them daily. No exceptions. No shortcuts. No compromises. That is how transformation becomes inevitable. The power of daily repetition cannot be replaced by bursts of enthusiasm. You are building a life, not a temporary sprint. Your results will reflect the unbroken pattern you create over the year. And here's the truth, the year will feel long. The days will test you. But the results will last a lifetime. As you commit to this year, internalize these truths. 1 year of discipline will do more for your life than 10 years of excuses. Show up every day, no negotiation. Boring work is the foundation, not the obstacle. Silence builds pressure. Pressure builds breakthroughs. Act like the disciplined person. The identity will follow. Repeat them. Live them. Let them guide your actions from day 1 to day 365. Your life will change because you acted, not because you wished, hoped, or complained. Systems win. Identity wins. Discipline wins. Your challenge and next step. Here is the challenge. Commit to the 2026 Discipline Challenge today. Follow the 30-day foundation, the 60-day loop, the final stretch. Implement your non-negotiables. Use your systems. Protect your silence. Delay gratification. Repeat identity-driven actions. No excuses. No shortcuts. No exceptions. Do this and you will emerge at the end of the year stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. Your focus will be unmatched. Your results undeniable. Your life permanently altered. Let me say it one last time. 1 year of discipline will do more for your life than 10 years of excuses. If you're ready to commit, make it public to yourself, not to others. Take action. Begin today. Start small, start consistent, start unbroken. And if you want more content like this, more systems, more principles, more audiobook-style coaching, subscribe to the channel now. Hit the bell. Join the community of disciplined doers who refuse excuses. We're building lives that matter, one day at a time, silently, relentlessly, and unbreakably. This is your year, your system, your identity, your life. Make it unbroken.